The first thing Dr. Yera Osei noticed was the coffee. She had ordered, on the morning of September the 3rd, an Americano with a single shot of hazelnut syrup, a combination she had never ordered before and could not entirely explain, having spent the previous decade drinking her coffee black. The barista had raised an eyebrow. Yera had shrugged and paid, and thought nothing more of it. It was only 6 weeks later, when she had begun keeping the log, that she went back and noted it as the first entry. Yera was 34 years old and a particle physicist at the University of Ghana's Advanced Research Institute, which meant she spent her working days thinking about things that were simultaneously true and impossible, and had developed a professional relationship with paradox that most people reserved for old friends. She was precise and observant, and not given to magical thinking. When she began noticing the coincidences, she documented them the way she documented everything, with dates, times, and a rigorous attempt to calculate the probability of each occurrence by chance. The probabilities were uniformly very small. September 3rd, the coffee order. A minor thing, she noted it and moved on. September 11th, she woke at 3:47 a.m. from a dream about a white room with a single window overlooking water she didn't recognize. The dream was not frightening, but was specific in the way that significant dreams are specific. The quality of the light, the smell of salt, the sound of something being constructed somewhere below the window. She wrote it down. September 19th. She submitted a resignation letter to the Institute's director, effective in 30 days, for reasons she found difficult to articulate, except as a general sense that something was pulling her elsewhere. She had been happy at the Institute. She had not intended to resign. She submitted the letter and felt, immediately afterward, a sensation she could only describe as the release of a long-held breath. October 2nd. She dreamed the white room again. The window was the same. The water was the same. This time, she could hear the thing being constructed below more clearly. Wood, she thought. Something being built from wood with careful hands. She had 15 entries in the log by October 15th, and the cumulative probability of their occurring by chance was, by her calculation, somewhere in the region of 1 in 400 billion. Yera was a scientist. She did not believe in 1 in 400 billion. She found him through the dream. It took 3 weeks of the kind of research that has no official methodology, a combination of academic database searches, social media archaeology, and a specific intuition she refused to examine too closely. She was looking for a white room overlooking water, built above or near something that used a skilled woodworker. She was looking for someone who woke at 3:47 on the morning of September 11th from a dream they couldn't explain. She found a furniture maker in Trieste named Marco Vitale, who had posted on the 11th of September at 4:03 a.m. local time, which was 3:03 a.m. in Accra, which, accounting for the difference in their respective biological clocks, was functionally identical. A single line on a small personal blog he updated infrequently. Strange dream. A room I don't recognize. Don't know why I'm writing this down. Felt important. She sent him a message. She was not certain what she expected. He replied within 4 minutes. I've been waiting for this message. I didn't know I was waiting for it, but I have been. What followed was 6 weeks of correspondence that Yera later described to the researchers as the most disorienting experience of her life, which was a significant statement from a woman who had spent a career disproving things that were supposed to be impossible. Marco Vitale was 34 years old, the son of a Triestine carpenter and a Milanese architect, a maker of furniture whose pieces had a reputation for a quality his clients consistently struggled to describe. Something in the joinery, a precision that went beyond craft into something more like inevitability, as if each piece had always existed in the wood and he had simply found it. He had been diagnosed at 16 with high-functioning autism, a diagnosis he had never fully accepted, and had spent his adult life with the feeling of being slightly off-frequency, present, capable, but tuned to a station that ran parallel to the one everyone else seemed to be receiving. He had resigned from a long-term commission on September 19th. He had ordered, on September the 3rd, a coffee he described as an Americano with hazelnut syrup. His first time ordering it, he noted, in a decade of drinking his coffee black. He had been dreaming about a white room with a window overlooking water since early September. The room, he said, smelled faintly of something he couldn't identify. Yara told him it smelled of ozone and instrument coolant, the specific smell of a laboratory. He agreed immediately. He had not been able to name it before she did. The pull. Neither of them had mentioned the pull, and they discovered it simultaneously, in a message and its replies sent within seconds of each other, was directional. Both of them felt it pointing in the same direction. When Yara mapped it geographically, it pointed northwest. When Marco mapped it, it pointed southeast. The lines intersected over a point in the Adriatic Sea, equidistant between them, precisely. The Institute for Experimental Quantum Biology had operated between 2001 and 2009 under the auspices of a pan-European research consortium that no longer existed, its records sealed under a confidentiality agreement that had 17 years remaining on its term. It had conducted, among other things, a series of experiments into quantum coherence in biological systems, an attempt to determine whether the quantum effects observed at the cellular level in biological processes could be induced and stabilized at larger scales. The lead researcher, Dr. Ingrid Hulse, was 71 and living in retirement in Lausanne. She answered Yara's email within an hour, which suggested she had been expecting it for longer than an hour. She met them both in a research facility outside Geneva. Neutral ground, she said, though the word neutral carried a weight that neither of them questioned until afterward. She was a small woman with the specific manner of someone who has been carrying a difficult thing for a long time and has developed, through practice, an efficient way of setting it down. She said, "I want to begin by telling you that what we did was not sanctioned by the consortium's ethics committee. I want to say that first so that you have it, and then I will tell you the rest." What she told them took 2 hours. Yara and Marco sat on opposite sides of a table in a quiet room and listened, and Yara noted in the part of her mind that was always noting things that they both leaned forward at the same moments and stilled at the same moments, and that when the most significant part arrived, the part that changed the shape of everything that had come before it, they both sat back simultaneously, as if moved by the same current. The experiment, Dr. Hulse said, had not entangled two subjects. There had never been two subjects. What the Institute had achieved in 2001 in a procedure that had taken 11 years to develop and had never been successfully replicated was a bifurcation, a single quantum state, a single developing consciousness at its most fundamental and undifferentiated point, distributed across two physical instantiations. Not twins, not copies, not linked individuals. One system expressed in two bodies, separated at the moment before the system had developed enough to be called a self. Everything that had followed, the separate births registered in separate countries through arrangements Dr. Hulse did not detail, the separate childhoods, the separate languages and cultures and lives, had been, from the perspective of the physics, the elaboration of a single identity across two simultaneous experiences. Every decision Yara had ever made, Marco had made at the same moment, independently, for reasons that felt entirely his own. Every thought, every preference, every dream. They had not been living parallel lives. They had been living one life in two places without knowing it. The pull, the directional sensation they had both felt for years without being able to name it, was the system seeking coherence. two expressions of the same state, separated across 3,000 kilometers, generating the same force that separated charges generate, the same irresistible tendency toward resolution. The white room was the laboratory. They had both been dreaming for 34 years about the place where they had begun. Dr. Halls told them that the entanglement could be resolved. A procedure existed. It had been developed precisely for this eventuality because the original team had understood, even in 2001, that this moment would come. The procedure would collapse the shared quantum state into two fully independent systems. They would become, in every measurable sense, separate people. The connection dissolved, the pull extinguished, each of them genuinely and completely themselves for the first time. Or they could leave it as it was. She left them alone in the room. They sat on opposite sides of the table for a long time. Outside the window, the Adriatic light fell across the floor between them in a long, warm rectangle. Neither of them looked at it. Nara looked at Marco. She had spent 34 years looking at herself in mirrors and never once recognized what she was seeing as clearly as she recognized it now. Not a reflection, but the other half of a sentence she had always been in the middle of. "What do you want to do?" she asked. Marco looked at her for a moment. Something in his expression shifted, not surprise, not calculation, but the specific quality of a person arriving at a place they have been traveling toward without knowing it. "You already know," he said. She did. She had always known, in the way she knew everything, in the marrow of it, before the reasoning, before the language, in the place where certainty lives before it becomes thought. She reached across the table. He took her hand, the same hand, she thought, that had built careful things from wood for 34 years while she had been pulling apart the mathematics of the universe, both of them doing, in their different ways, the same work, looking for the structure underneath. Dr. Halls knocked once on the door and waited.